checking account is about $100,000 less than last year, but it's still adequate for paying all of our bills until the season starts, just like I mentioned last month. Total revenue for year to date is 3.51 million, which exceeds our budget by about 494,000. Membership revenue is done for the year. We're at $2.7 million, which is about 383,000 over the year-to-date budget of 2.3 million. And we're about $119,000 higher than last year. Interest income is 63,000, which is tracking ahead by 16,000 from last year, from budget. And that's due to the current balances in all of our accounts. Expenses are 2.57 million versus our budget of 2.4, which is over by 157,000, and it's tracking higher than last year by 214,000. Does somebody have a question?
Yeah, I'm not calling for questions yet.
Well, I heard a noise, so no worries.
It's okay.
The primary drivers of our expenses this year for the year to date, trail expenses are 1.82 million versus a budget of 1.7, so over by about 98,000. Making up that number is grooming at 1.4 million, and our Green Mountain National Forest cost share for 319,000. Net income for the year is 943,000 compared to our budget of 606,000, which is a favorable variance to the budget of about 337,000. Net income is about $171,000 lower than last year, and it's just driven by timing differences between the different trails related expenses, the project's final grooming payouts. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions for Stephen we're in good shape. Looks like we're finishing the year strong in the black at the end of, even though expenses were higher, income was higher. So it's, they manage each other, I think, right?
Yep.
Six will make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Windsor County, a second it.
Calling for last call for any questions for Stephen. Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Nay? All right, thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. All right, so now we are going to move over to Danville. So there was a couple of documents that I sent based on everything I received. I try to summarize it for the board. So the timeline document and the emails that were sent to the club discussing the final payment impact. Ryan from the club's acknowledgement that it was going to work on the analysis. The deadline was missed, and then the club did do all three items. One, they did the written correspondence to VAST, letting us know why the date was missed. They created their management plan, and they did complete the grooming analysis when it was reopened. They did all that stuff in a couple days, actually. The county's recommendation to what the final grooming payment to be, and the county's response to the management plan, as well as the management plan, is included in there. I've asked Mark to keep the time allotments, to keep me on track, since it's hard to watch and see who wants to speak and watch the clock at the same time. So I've allotted 20 minutes for this discussion, 10 minutes for the club, 5 minutes for the county to respond, and 5 minutes for the board to ask any clarifying questions. I would ask that we don't repeat the questions, that we stick to the program here as best as we can. The board's been sent this package weeks in advance in order to prepare for tonight. So questions should be pretty direct, and maybe just clarification from either the county or the club on what they say, more or less. Yeah, obviously, if it does go overboard a little bit, that might happen, but we're going to try to really keep this as streamlined as possible. So if you hear Mark saying, 2-minute warning or something like that, I've asked him to do that. Where are you, Mark?
Right here.
Oh, there you are. I see you now. Yeah, you're right next to me on my
I got the
screen.
timer ready to go.
Patty,
There he goes.
Patty,
Yes.
Patty, it's Ruth. Can we just have our guests introduce themselves prior to for the minutes, please?
Absolutely. So, I'm gonna just go in my boxes, and if I miss anybody, then we go. So Aaron Bozito is, you're two people there. So can you identify who those two people are?
Ron Sposito, Aaron Sposito.
I'm sorry.
Ron Sposito and Aaron Sposito.
Vice President, Treasurer. I mean,
Can you hear me or no?
Yeah, we
I can
can. We
hear
heard
you.
Aaron, and what
Yeah,
was the other one?
John.
John,
Okay.
He's the vice president of Danville Eskimos.
Gotcha.
Okay, great. All right. I'm just gonna go in my boxes, and then, like I said, Ryan's on there, and I'm not
Yep, I'm
gonna,
Ryan, the president of the Solar Club, the Danville Club.
got that, Ruth?
thank you.
All right, let me just make sure.
There's a Lori on here too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Lori Batchelder's treasurer of the club.
You need that spelled, Ruth, or are you good?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Lori, can
Lori.
you spell your last name? The other folks-
Batchelder, Batchelder.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else from the club that I didn't call out?
I don't believe
Okay.
so, no.
Okay, all right, you good, Ruth?
I am, thank you.
No problem. Thank you for asking. Okay, so we're gonna start with the Danville Club. You wanna talk to the board? And I should preface, the club has been placed in not in good standing status based on the policy. So they're here tonight to ask to be placed back in good standing, and then the board will decide on what parameters are surrounding that. So that's our goal tonight. Okay, sorry, Laurie, go ahead.
That's okay. So I'll be speaking tonight. And I've just written this down because I'm not good at speaking, but so like you said, we're here I'm the treasurer of the Danville Club, and I'm here on behalf of the club to address us not being in good standings with the board, and to ask that they reinstate us and release our final grooming payment for the 26th season. As the new treasurer of the club, I wasn't aware that there was a strict deadline for filing this report, and I take responsibility for that. I was notified by Ryan, our club president, the day before the due date, but because of the nature of my full-time job, which is in the accounting industry and do taxes and payroll, I was not able to complete it on time. And I took on this voluntary position to help the club despite my work life. And I work hard to keep up with the duties of the treasurer, but obviously missed this reporting requirement. Immediately on notification from VAS that the financial analysis needed to be submitted, we did take action. We submitted the fiscal analysis, as well as the required management plan and other requested information. And if my timeline is correct, we had that all done by the 15th of May, because I think that's when the financial analysis opened back up, but I'm not 100% of that date.
May 12th, actually, you had everything done by the 12th,
By the 12th.
once we
Okay.
reopened it, yep.
While we understand there should be some accountability for missing the deadlines, to our knowledge, that this is the first time that the club has been considered not in good standings, and that based on the qualifications of being in good standings, the financial analysis was only one item in several lists of things that keep a club in good standings. Last year, we also had an audit through your CPA. We were one of the random clubs to receive an audit. We passed that audit, which kept us in good standings. And we don't feel that it's in the best interest of VAST, our club, or the members to financially penalize a club. It will ultimately affect the quality of the trail systems. We are all volunteers working towards the same goal, and feel that it's in the best interest of VAST and clubs to work together to resolve issues and to return to compliance rather than to issue financial penalties. The club has all intentions of complying with all the required VAST standards, and to remain in good standings, and that the unintentional missing of this financial analysis was a one-time occurrence. We are all volunteers and are doing the best that we can. I guess, so, I mean, we just feel that a financial impact to the club is only gonna hurt Vast themselves as far as memberships. And I mean, if we can't go back in good standings, we don't groom. And I think Danville has some of the major trail systems in the state with the rail trail and some of the other corridors that feed the state. As far as the recommendation by the county for a financial penalty, we're a little bit concerned about that because after talking with, we received an email from Bruce, the county president, that there was a vote at the county meeting that our entire final payment be withheld. And that he stated that 9 of the clubs in attendance all voted unanimously on that. We have talked with some of the people in attendance and also have the minutes of that county club, of which there's no reference of any discussion of Danville at all. And that once he found out how much our final grooming payment was, that the directors voted 25%. But again, there's nothing in any minutes of any kind of recommendation by the county in their meeting minutes. So we feel that it's that we're very concerned that the information being communicated to VAST from the county is not accurate, and that no official vote took place and that no such vote is reflected in their minutes. And we feel that any recommendation from the county should not be valid, should not be a valid county recommendation.
And Lori, just for clarification, I know that what we've been told by the county as well, but it's in policy that analysis is not done. The final payment is forfeited. That's not the county. That's this board, and that has been established for years, just for record purposes only. That's
Okay.
all. I'm just.
Well, we
Yeah.
were, the county emailed us and said, this is what
Yep.
we're recommending to VAST, but yet there's nothing in their minutes of any vote. People in attendance said that there was nothing voting.
Okay.
So and I noticed in your last meeting, your May meeting minutes, there was a recommendation of the 25%
Mhm.
to be withheld, and that the directors had voted that, but if there's nothing in their minutes that they voted that, then we're just concerned with the information that's being portrayed to VAST from the county, if it's not accurate, if it's coming
Right.
from one person out of the county and not the entire
Mhm.
county.
You have 4
So-
minutes left, Lori.
So it's irrelevant whether the county said it or not. So
Okay.
I'm hoping they did, because the policy states that.
Okay.
So, I think that's a separate conversation.
Right.
But just so you know, the policy does state that it is forfeited. So do you have anything else, Lori?
No, I think this was a one-time thing for us. I wasn't aware. I mean, I used to be the treasurer for Twinfield for years, but that was 25 years ago, and this wasn't in place. So I wasn't aware that we then opened this whole can of worms.
Yeah, and the thing
Unfortunately.
is, we're all volunteers, and one piece is missed, it impacts all of us, right? Like, you guys did 3 times the work. You had to not only do the analysis, then you had to do a
Right.
management plan, then you had to do a correspondence, and now you're sitting here today, and there'll probably be another follow-up after that. So the time is like, tenfold compared to having done the analysis initially. That's the only, making a point. So, anybody else for the last couple minutes before I turn it back to the county or from the club?
I would just like to say that I appreciate how hard you guys work. And it does affect us at the VAST office. And it does, like, we're not here as just regulators. Like, we have the best volunteer force in the state for everything. I mean, we out camp everybody for our volunteers. So we're not just trying to bring you to the woodshed. We just got to get these things done, because over the last decade, even 20 years, but especially the last 10 years, we are so responsible to report back to the state and the feds about the money we get that goes to you guys. And so that's why. And then you've got turnover in your clubs and you're educating new people. So as a board, they get it because they're all volunteers spending their times. But I just want you to
2
know
minutes.
from VAST staff that we are here to support you. We don't want to see you go through this. We appreciate you. And I think the board feels the same way. It's just hard that we would like to get through 1 year that we don't have any club have this issue. And so if we can like figure this out and get you through it, that would be the
Yeah, we had
best
three,
thing
I
for
think,
all of
last year,
us.
and this year you guys are you're the only one this year. But so we've
I mean,
made
I think-
progress.
I
So,
think
which is good.
15 days is also not a legitimate amount of time to get that information. I mean, the season ends April 15th and the deadline's April 30th. I mean, sometimes you don't even have, I don't even have all the bills for the season in 15 days.
And Matt has to do a report to the
Exactly.
state. So he has a deadline to get all this data to the state. So
And
that's
one
why
I
the
understand
deadlines
that.
exist to, all the deadlines are backed up in order to support his deadline to get us funding for next year. So they're not random dates is my point.
All right, we're down to 45 seconds on this section.
Doing very well, isn't he?
I guess I don't have anything else unless
I think the only other thing.
anybody has any questions.
Yeah,
I think
it looks
that
like,
it feels
Aaron.
like the penalty.
Aaron.
It feels like the penalty doesn't match the crime. I think that again, we had almost $11,000 owed to us for a substantial amount of grooming. That I know that the rules are in place. Totally understand that. We had a slip up. We missed the due date. It clearly will not happen again. I think even a 25% penalty seems a bit harsh. I think if I were to equate it to not paying your taxes on time, they don't double your tax bill or anything like that.
That's-
So it just feels, again, for the amount of work that we do and the tight turnaround time, to Lori's point,
So-
and having 15 days to turn things around at the end, before the end of the season, it just seems like maybe there's opportunity to, I don't know. I know there's state regulations
So-
and whatnot, but feels like it's a harsh penalty.
I appreciate that. The time is up. I don't know if the president.
As a
will let me-
volunteer, I've been volunteering for the Eskimos now for probably 20 years. And every year seems to get a little bit harder and harder for the older people that were in the club years ago. And they finally just gave up because they didn't have, the computers and everything to keep up with all the things that you ask for now. And they all just stepped to the side. So now it's more work every year, more work. We're sitting back here doing all the work.
Spending a lot of our own personal.
I'm in Connecticut.
Can I cut you off? You're over time. You're not the only ones who do this. I'm a volunteer president of an insurance company for VAST. So we understand that. But I also want to say, you're told this over and over again. Here's the date, here's the date, here's the date. Get something in even if it's not complete. And for taxes, isn't there an 8% interest rate for every month that you're delinquent? So
But we're not volunteers of the government.
I have a trail that runs through my property also. What gives me an incentive to keep that trail open as a volunteer and a landowner if we're going to get spanked? I just don't understand.
Are you going to do this
move
again?
on to I am going to move on to the county. What I will say is the governing documents of this organization have been established by this board of director and prior board of directors, as well as membership at the annual meeting. Things are voted on there into our bylaws. And it is my responsibility and the executive committee's responsibility to adhere to the governing documents that the board of directors, volunteers, and prior boards have put together. So that's why we're here tonight. We're not going to change any of the policies tonight or anything like that. So your point is
One last
taken.
question. Where does the money go that you guys keep from us?
If it was to come.
If you guys keep the money, where does it go?
Let's see how tonight goes, right? And what the motion is before we even visit that, right?
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to move on to Bruce from, I'm assuming Bruce, you're going to represent the county, or if there's somebody else?
Nope, just me.
Okay. So you have a 5-minute, from a county perspective, or any clarifying comments or questions for the club?
She's quite correct on the minutes from the county meeting are accurate. I met late last week with the secretary from our county, and I went over how the minutes weren't accurate and they didn't reflect everything that went on. The discussion with the Danville Club went on for a good 20 or 25 minutes. And the people that were there did vote to withhold their final grooming payment, which is on page 19 of the trail policy manual, that the whole payment be withheld. When I found out 2 days later from Matt that it was a substantial amount, almost $11,000, I contacted the officers in the club, thought the penalty was too harsh for the club and that it should be reduced to 25% of the amount due, which was roughly $2,681 and something cents. The county felt.
Bruce, I talked to two people that were at that meeting,
Ryan,
and they have no.
Ryan, right, let him finish up, and then I'll be opening it back up. Okay.
I can only tell you what went on at the meeting. There were no votes. The alternate director is present tonight. He's via phone. He can verify. It wasn't in writing and it was wrong, and I've taken care of that. The only other thing I can say is as part of the compliance and good standing requirements, it lists a bunch of requirements in order to be in good standing. I'd also like to see attendance at county meetings and county bylaws be included in that section. I mean, it could have all been avoided had Danville appeared at the county meetings, except for the first 3 meetings of the year, nobody was present. So we rely on emails from myself and anybody else in the county who sends them out. And then Matt reminding the Danville Club on April 22nd that this was due. I mean, if we go by the way the vast bylaws read, you would forfeit the whole amount, which we thought was excessive, and we wanted to reduce it to 25%, which we're asking the directors of VAST now to go in their bylaws and actually change them. So you wouldn't be fined the whole amount. So, I mean, that's all I can say on the subject. I apologize for the county minutes not being correct. I've spoken to the secretary about it, and that's all I can really say on the matter.
Okay.
2 minutes left in the county.
2?
Yeah, in the county, yeah.
Are you done, Bruce? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, and it's actually the policy. It's that it states it, the trails policy. So it's not the bylaws, it's just for reference for folks. as to what
We also
document
want to
trails.
note, Patty, that in the club's grooming contract, the deadlines are noted. Jeff Fay put that in the
Oh, I
chat.
did see that pop up, yeah. So whoever signed your grooming contract and sent it back to Matt also saw those deadlines in the grooming contract. And I know Mandy also, I'm pretty sure, put it in e-news as well. So his publications went out there too. I know we over communicated. So okay, so now we're on, and then I will reopen it just generally. So Ryan, I know you have something to say, but I'm going to follow my thing first, and then I'll open it up again. Okay. So I'm going to write your name down here so I don't forget you. So Mark, keep me honest if I do.
Yeah.
Okay. So now it's up. I have 5 minutes for the board, not to reiterate everything that was mentioned here, but if you have specific questions or clarification questions for the club and or the county, now would be the time to ask. And Jeff Halpin, I see your hand up. Along those guidelines, please feel free to ask your question.
Oh, my question was going to be, and we touched on it a little bit with, I think a lot of the problem is basically not, the county, the chain of notification comes from this board, from Patty down to the county, and then obviously to the clubs, and club representation is very important. I guess we can see that here. It kind of almost really shows how important it is for every club to have county representation and somebody bringing it back home to the clubs, all this important information, because I've never seen it more redundant than it is lately as far as bringing it from Patty and our you know, our paperwork and our meetings, all these dates have been emphasized across the, basically all the paperwork that I know that I bring to the Washington County, meetings. So that was my question was, you know, does this club, sit in for the county meetings? And it almost seems to me like there was a little, I might be speaking out of turn here, but a little bit of rift there between the club and the county. I'm not sure if I sensed that
We're not
right.
gonna
but-
get into that riff, but
okay,
the
but-
attendance, the attendance,
Attendance would help, right? And
right.
so that's where I was going with it. I think the attendance seems to be the problem here. And if we could correct that, I think a lot of these problems would go away.
I agree. I agree in general. That's just not specific to this club. I believe in general. I just,
So I just had one more thing, Patty, before, because I know you want to move this along. The
Yeah.
only thing different on changing any of the percentages on the final payout is that changes annually. Every year for every club, that could be a different number. It may be 11 grand this year. It may be zero next year. It might be $2,500 the year after that. So for us to say, hey, we're going to lessen that amount on other years, that amount might have been very little. I know Danville is a grooming club and they're in a great area and they get a lot of grooming up there. But for other clubs that this rule also stands for, it doesn't allow us to make those changes. It might be much less. It might be a lot less money. So those guidelines were set there to kind of blanket everything and allow us as a group to do what we're doing tonight, which is oversee all this, make some decisions and look at each individual situation as it is and where it sits. That's all I wanted.
thank you, Jeff. Roger?
It sounds like there's a fair amount of new leadership on the club board. Is that correct? Based on the
I saw
introduction.
12 board members on their board in their management plan. There's 12 people.
Okay, so do we know, so Vast/Patty sent out a significant amount of emails for these deadlines. We never used to have that. It's been great. It's a lot, but it's good. It's needed. Do we know who was getting those emails? Because there were dozens.
Yeah, Bruce, who's on your distribution list from the county out
Um,
to that club, just that club?
Ryan and Andy both received all the emails from the county, and then on April 22nd, Matt was in touch with Ryan, telling him that he needed the financial analysis for both groomers by the end of the month.
Can I just interrupt for a second? So Ryan did reach out to me saying it needed to get done. And like I stated, my life from April 1st to April 30th is hectic. And I personally didn't get it done on time, and also not knowing that, you know, like you say, all this extra work now that we've had to go through because of it. And for that, I'm probably going to resign my position at the club, because it's just not something that I'm going to be able to probably deal with. And they'll have to find someone that's got a little bit, but they did let me know. That we were notified, everybody, you know, Ryan got the notifications, everybody, he let me know. I personally did not get it done. It's
Okay, let's let
basically
Roger
on me.
finish. Yep,
Yeah,
and I know,
don't
Laura,
think,
you've
I don't think
fallen
the
on the
intention
sword.
here, I don't think the intention here is to pin any one person for this. It's a
Right.
it's a team effort. I've been in this position before, so I know where you're coming from. This year was, the last couple of years have been an exception because of the constant reminders from the club, from Vast and from Patty. But so who was getting the general club emails? Because from Vast, not the ones that were going from Patty to the county, but the ones that were going directly to the club. Is anybody on this meeting getting those?
Yes, all three of us actually have access to that email. Aaron monitors it mostly.
But those emails were not from the county, were not coming to our Danville Eskimo account.
Okay,
Or
so there's a
email.
little
They were
break.
not coming to that account.
But the
Patty,
vast
that's
ones
time
were.
for this.
The vast ones were, yes.
Okay, that's his question, I think, Karen.
Okay. So a little breakdown of communication there. And then my other question was who, like, did you guys, so sorry, Matt sent Ryan the email on the 22nd, you said, about the grooming analysis needing to be done.
Correct.
Ryan, is
And,
that correct?
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. I mean, I know I've got them before that. I was working on the mileages and
Okay.
I thought Lori was getting the other ones, but
And my final question before my comment is what do you guys meet regularly as a club? Like monthly or bi-monthly or?
We meet every couple, but try to do a month or every couple months, yes. But during snowmobile grooming season, it's a little challenging because we're all busy working on the trails.
Yeah,
We did have the best trails this year, I believe, in the area.
probably. All right. So I guess Patty, I'm gonna say a couple things. I know you wanted questions only, but I feel like this is the appropriate time to make a couple comments here, unless you have
Yeah,
other.
you gotta wrap it up though, Roger, because we're over the time for the board, okay? So. go
Well, I'm
ahead.
sorry, this meeting
No,
belongs to the
that's okay.
board and we need to hash this out. So again, I've been in this position years ago. I get it. We're all struggling to make ends meet with the clubs. There's a lot of stuff to do, a lot of paperwork to do. I get that. And I think in most cases, a lot of times, when this happens, we work through the hurdles and we get through it, no problem. Where I'm struggling, and I brought this up at the last board meeting, was the lack of support from the county. And obviously we're hearing differing opinions on what's going on here, but my opinions on what goes on down there is based largely on what is brought forth to the board by the county director. And Bruce has not given me any reason to believe that he's unreliable with his information. So that's kind of where we're at, is we're getting this information, and there's definitely conflicting stories. So we're gonna have to work through this and make sure that we're headed in the right direction.
There's also a copy in the packet of the emails that were sent from the county to the club too, so. They're in the packet as well. So there was communication, so. And just for the record, Bruce is very involved on the board too, and to Roger's point, doesn't give anybody any reason to doubt anything that he brings, and he does fight very hard for your county in general, so. And he was the one that said, this is too steep of a price for your club to pay, and why he went back to the officers to try to reduce that and get that concurrence. So he did go on your behalf to your county clubs as well. So I just did want to point that out. All right, so I'm gonna just 2 minutes for anything that wasn't said, that's critical, and it's not in my timeline, Mark, I know. Just to wrap it up, I know Ryan had asked earlier, so I'm gonna give Ryan a chance first, and then just quickly, we can wrap this up and then see where we're at from a board's perspective. Unless there's a point that has not been made or has been made that needs clarification. That's it. Okay, go ahead, Ryan.
I'll be quick. So I guess I was under the impression that it was up to the county board and VAS whether we got our final grooming payment after we missed this.
No, it'll be up to
deadline.
this board tonight. The board of
Right.
directors, each
So
county
my
gets one vote.
Okay. So what I initially did when I received the email from Bruce was I reached out to several other clubs that were at that meeting, and they said that they didn't have a vote on that part of it. They discussed that we were going to be missing the $10,000 payment potentially, but they said that there was no vote to their recollection. And I would kind of find it strange that another club in our area would want us to be penalized, money for that. But either way, I mean, if Bruce was going to bat for us, I guess I can understand that and I appreciate that. But the vote, I still question if it really happened.
Well, that would be something I would assume. You guys can go to a county meeting and you guys can work together. I think Caledonia also offers Zoom options. So if you can't physically get there, I think there's Zoom. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Ryan. All right. I'm assuming it's Aaron.
Yes.
Anything that wasn't stated, Aaron?
I'm going to go back to the question I had before. So wherever this decision lands, if we were to get penalized or you keep the entire $11,000, where does that money go?
It stays in the budget and it'll get rolled over based on.
And so you guys benefit from our hard work by keeping the money.
Who?
VAST, well, it goes into the VAST account. So you guys just keep all the money that we work for all year.
The board will decide whether it goes to construction or grooming. They allocate the money out.
So I guess that's just it's just a question that it doesn't seem, you guys penalize us, whatever the dollar amount is, and then you end up keeping the money and we suffer.
No, it goes back out to other clubs in the form of grants for construction or
Right.
grooming,
So
it
our
gets spread
work
back out.
our work goes elsewhere because we missed a deadline by a couple of days. That's just concerning to me. Policy
Okay,
or
Erin,
not.
so it is, Aaron. So, you know what? We haven't even gotten a motion on the table yet to be even just having this
I
discussion.
understand.
as to-
It's just a
so
question. It's a
we
valid
got
question
you-
of
yeah.
where the money goes.
Yeah, I will reiterate, there are 100 clubs that got this in on time by the deadline. Okay, so it's doable, is my point. It's doable.
I get that.
And you
We did.
guys kicked
We
butt
own it.
once you received the notification. You kicked butt getting all that done and then tenfold, right? So you guys and you have a great 12 people. I can tell you a lot of these clubs that I've been involved with have maybe 5 people sitting at the table. The fact that you have 12 people on your leadership board is great. You're in really great position. So, all right. Anybody have some, Aaron, you can lower your hand, hon. Anybody have anything that was not brought forward? Dustin, quick.
I'm going to be quick, and some of it is what Jeff said. I don't feel the amount of money should be a factor. A deadline is a deadline. If we're going to only withhold a percentage of the final payment, then we're setting precedent for future issues with this. If the next club does this and they're only owed $500, would we only be discussing withholding 25%? That's it.
All right. All right. I think we've, unless anybody has any burning questions for anybody, the county and or the club, that was not clarified. I'll give you a last call on that.
Patty, just
You
for
were right.
clarification, I'm confused with the timeline that you're rushing through here. Are we getting a chance to talk about this as a board, or are you pushing us to a vote?
No. I'm trying to keep it so it doesn't go astray, is what I'm
Okay.
trying to do, where one party has more time than everybody else and trying to be as fair as possible. The executive committee met to break down the timelines to try to keep this, and we all agreed.
Gotcha.
And Mark did say we'll probably go over in certain areas, and we have. But we also didn't want to spend an hour on this when we have, a lot of other things. If it's just reiterating what's already been said, if there's new points to be made, please bring them forward. If it's just reiterating what's been said, the point's been made, is my point. And we do tend to do that sometimes. All right, Mike Burns, what do you got that hasn't been mentioned? Can barely hear you, Mike Burns.
I'm sorry, you hear me better now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, the 11K, where does that set as far as, is that high, low, middle of the range, something as far as final payment for clubs? I know for my small clubs, that would be huge, but where does that stand as far as the 100+ clubs we have? Is that, how does that, where does that set?
Well, I would say their area, I would compare them to the clubs in that snow area this season based on weather and how they compare. And I don't know if we have that data here, but I'm going to assume, and where's Matt, that it's pretty much in a line with the clubs in that area as far as if they have that kind of mileage. The grooming occurred. It was a good season for everybody. It was a great season.
Yeah, it really, Mike, has to do with how many miles they have, what their snow was, how many weeks that they groomed. That's basically the same calculation that your clubs have, they have. And so they're just in a little bit of a higher snow area than your clubs. That's why.
Mark?
So I just want to say, as we go through this, and my club has been through this before for a different deadline, we have to think about what the point of this is. The point isn't to punish, it's to teach. If it were me making the decision, I would say having to sit here through this, having to listen to this, have to put to work. They've learned the lesson, and I would not, if I could make a motion and vote on it, which I can't, I would say to bring them back in good standing and not withhold funds. I know people say that would lead to a precedent, but I think the precedent is here. We're going to hold your feet to the fire and make you come and face the board. That's the most uncomfortable and hardest thing to do. When they realized that this happened, they got their things in order and did it. I'm guessing from what we've talked to people they're going to try their hardest not to let this happen again.
I would, so if people are
That's
thinking
my
about
opinion.
that kind of a motion, so there's different parts of the motion, and I'm gonna, I'm gonna go Doug first, Roger, because he didn't get to speak yet, and then you, okay? And, so they are not in good standing, and they have done the corrective actions, and I did put this together as a, suggested motion. Based on that, you can reinstate the club into good standing status, effective immediately, in a probationary status, like we've done with other clubs for other things. If you want to do a financial impact, you would tie in what that would be. And there's two pieces. There's that have been brought forward. One is the financial impact, if you want to include that or not, and if you do, what percentage, or the whole thing. That's up to the board. And two is the update the management plan for the club to participate per the county bylaws, a certain amount of county meetings, just so that they're involved with what's going on at the county level and aware of things. And then what we've done in the past to other clubs would be the fourth item on the list, was that they would be in probationary for the year until after the analysis was due again in April. And then if they had everything in on time for that deadline, then they would automatically, the board would come back together, just like we did with another club, and vote them back into, take them out of probationary and put them into good. So probationary would allow you to still have the benefits, I'm using that very loosely, of being a club in good standing, but under the assumption that all the requirements are met this year along those guidelines. Okay, Doug.
My question is, excuse me, we talk about setting a precedent all the time, and I can't recall in the last 5 years that I've been on the board of directors if we have or have not ever done this before. Have we ever withheld a check from a final agreement payment for something like this?
So it's my second year as president, and I'm going to say first, completing my second year, we have not withheld, but we have put parameters around the motion and put in probationary, probationary status with certain parameters. We have done that, but we have not withheld in a motion. Well, not your turn, Mike. It's Roger's turn next.
Thank you, Patty.
Thanks, Doug.
So, this is a bad situation to be in. So I agree with Dustin. A timeline's a timeline, a deadline's a deadline. The fact of the matter is, clubs don't meet them all the time. They're going to continue not to meet them. We have a process for this. In most cases, the club would come, plead their case, have very legitimate reasons to not have met the deadline, and we would work it out from there. What I'm hung up on is the fact that the county, all the other clubs in the county, unanimously voted to withhold funding. And that means that there's some background stuff going on that we don't know about. And this isn't the forum for that, but there's clearly some stuff that needs to be figured out. I know if I was in Bruce's position and I came to the board and said, this is what the county has recommended, and the board didn't go with it, I'd be pretty disappointed and say, what is the purpose of me sitting in this chair as an elected official of these clubs? So I just highly encourage everybody to think about that, because there's more to this story than meets the eye. There's something going on here that is making the county not support its own club to get the full funding, because we've always done that. We've always reinstated the funding. And honestly, under normal circumstances, I'd be happy to do it too. But it leaves me with great concern that the county is not supporting the club. And so
It concerns us as well, and I think it's a pretty strong statement to say there's it's an accusation, and it is concerning to us as well, because there's nothing as a club that we would be aware of. So I don't think that the accusation that there's something underlying there, unless it's something we're totally unaware of.
If there was lack of attendance at the meeting, and that's kind of like what is insinuated, I'm sure Ryan, a couple times he was probably grooming in the winter months, and he didn't have an opportunity to attend that meeting.
Most of our board members, just for reference, are out of state
We're all out of state.
I'm out of state. I'm the president of VAST.
No, I
I'm
know.
out of state.
I
So,
know.
okay. So I don't buy the out of state card.
We
so
don't,
please don't
we're
choose me.
struggling with understanding the county issues. as
Yeah.
well, because
I do. Okay. So,
And he
but
has
I
the
will
club.
say the thing to remember for county meetings, it doesn't have to even be an officer. It can be any club member representing the club as long as they bring that information back. Just to keep that in mind in case you weren't aware of that. It could be, anybody from the club as long as somebody from the club is there to represent them. It doesn't have to be an officer. Did Mike Burns, you took your hand down. Are you good?
Well, just gonna push back on what you're saying. We haven't done before.
Still can't hear you. You sound
Yeah,
very
Mike.
garbly, Mike.
I was just gonna push back a little bit on saying we have not done it before. You withheld $1,500 from my Montgomery club, Russ being late. And the results on that weren't positive.
You're going again.
There was also more to that.
There was a little more to it, but as the final grooming,
Thank you.
it was withheld.
It was more than just meeting the deadline. That's my point.
There was more to it throughout the year. I agree.
How
I'm just kind of making the point, but that it wasn't, it didn't work out great. It kind of did because we were going to do some stuff otherwise, but we lost.
Yeah, that was before my time. So I just spoke for the last 2 years. So yes. The other thing is, last year, I think you guys missed the club, the construction training and then wanted a bridge and came in. So you missed that. So just don't want you to build a pattern where you guys are going to set yourself up for failure either. It's just I provide, and I know many of the directors do pass out the deadline summary for the whole year, so you can plan for it. And then Lori's busy with finances. It should be somebody else doing that responsibility during that time because she's obviously overwhelmed with her professional life during that time period, just as a recommendation. Roger?
2 questions for Bruce. The first one is, how has the county so sure, they missed this last county meeting. How has their county attendance been at previous meetings over the last year? I believe you covered this in our last meeting, but I don't recall.
I think the year before they were only at 1 or 2, and then this past season they were at the first 3, and then none after that.
Okay. And then my other question for you is, if you recall, first part of it's a statement. If you recall at the last board meeting, I told you that this was kind of an unusual thing for the county to be recommending this to the board. And some time has passed. It's been a month or, a few weeks. And I know you haven't had a county meeting, but amongst people there that you speak to, with maybe your county officers, has there been a change of heart, or is this still the county's stance that they would like to withhold the 25%?
There was one officer in the county that wanted to withhold the whole thing, to withhold the whole amount. And I won't mention names because I don't want to start any more that's going on now. But I mean,
how many clubs are in the county?
12.
12 and 11 of them?
I've been a big advocate over the past couple of years and I had made the statement in board meetings that a lot of the clubs in VAST thought that our policies and procedures were a bunch of BS because they weren't being followed. And I'm sure you can remember me saying that more than once. And the policy says that you will forfeit your whole amount, which I thought was excessive and wanted to reduce it to 25%. But if I really wanted to be a pain in the neck, I'd say, hey, a bylaw is a bylaw, forfeit the whole amount. Why do we have policies and procedures? But
we do have a grievance policy, right?
Either.
Right. So Bruce, we do have that policy, right? But we have a grievance policy to come for circumstances that we may not know about, to come to the board, and that's why we're here tonight. So we still are following policies, my point, Bruce. We're following the grievance part of it now. Okay. Anybody else? Jeff?
So just sitting here listening to everything, and I agree with a lot of it. One thing I can say is that I don't believe that if we uphold the county's ruling or recommendation, that it would help the relationship between the club and the county. I think that would, whether there's an issue or we're assuming there might be, and then they're saying they don't think there is. And that's, I guess, for them and Bruce and the county to figure out. But I don't believe by withholding what they're recommending would be helpful. What I do think would be helpful is more attendance from their club. So what I'm willing to do here is I want to make a motion.
Well, let's wait before, I'm not gonna call for a motion. I want to make sure we're all out here and then I'll call for the motion on this, okay?
Not sure.
And
I think if
will
a board member wants to make a motion, Patty, I don't think that there's
Yeah,
a,
no, I can call, I have to wait for the chair to call for it. I just want to make sure everybody had a chance to talk. That's all. I want to give one last call before I refer to him for the motion. That's all.
I don't feel good
And,
about
and
that.
I
but
would
okay.
ask the 25% that the county's making, because they want to make a financial impact, you could say 10% too, if you want to say, here's a financial impact, but let's not do 25, let's go to 10. You also have as a board that option too, is what I'm saying. All right. Anybody have a point to make that has not been made? Okay, Jeff Halpin. See Roger? That's all. I just wanted to give everybody a chance.
So I'd like to make a motion I'd like to return them to good standings immediately. I'd like to withhold 10%. And I'd like that to be held to the point where if they attend 70% of the county meetings this coming year, that at the end of the season of this year, they'll get that 10% back on top of what they're owed in good graces for this 2026, 2027 season. So withholding 10%, they get that back if they attend more than 70% of the county meetings in the next season. And they'll be in good standings from here on in because we don't need a club that's not in good standings.
Okay, I just want to reiterate this motion. I want to make sure we get all the pieces, okay? So you want to reinstate the club from not in good standing status to good standing status or probationary? I just want to be clear until that
Good standing status
70% is made.
with 10% being held so that
All
they
right.
can, until
We're doing it.
70% of the,
Yep.
okay.
I'm just going in order of what I got from Robert's rules. So you want to reinstate back to good standing, not probationary. Just want to make sure on that, just good standing immediately. You want to hold 10% of the amount due, which is, I don't have that number in my hand. Come on, 10.
Oh, it's $11,000, so it's $1,100.
No, it's 8045 plus 2681. I should have that. number.
Just so you're
1,700
aware,
change.
we are, as Matt just pointed out to me in a text, we are crossing fiscal years by doing this.
Okay. Let me just finish. You're saying they update their management plan to include attendance of 70% of the county meetings.
Of any member, doesn't have to be an officer.
That it does club representative. 70% update the management plan to include the attendance of the club, a member, to 70% of the county meetings. And they should update that management plan by a date of July 20th. I put a month out. Are you
Month
good
out.
with that? Okay.
I would say by the annual meeting, yeah.
Okay. And at that time, after April 30th, assuming that they've done it for the year,
They will get the 10% that was held plus whatever they're due for that next year. And by doing this, my thoughts are it'll help maybe the county situation if there is a situation. And it'll also help getting the information to the club from the
Okay,
county
so-
meetings.
just before I call for a second, I'm going to say Matt's point is that 10% back is crossing fiscal years. And I don't,
Right.
Say
And the
the-
other thing too is that we have to also follow what their county bylaws are. Like we can
That's the
interject
same.
when we have issues with what the club does, but they also have to file or have to follow their own county bylaws as far
what
as
does the county bylaw say, Bruce?
as
from,
far as being in good
attendance?
standing and attending meetings. Yes.
How many meetings does the county say they have to attend? According to your bylaws?
60%.
60%.
Currently, it says 60%. We're voting on a new revision in September to make it attendance at 80% of the meetings.
But it's currently 60% is per the bylaws of the county.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
I can
So
only
are
go by
they
what's in
work-
place now versus what's going to be voted on or not voted on later.
Right, and they only attended 3, I guess, of this season is what Bruce said. So Bruce, are they not in good standings with the county now because of not doing the 60%? I guess I'm not understanding.
I think we had 7, I gotta look at my notes, I don't have them in front of me. There were 7, maybe 8 meetings. So,
Okay,
Why are
So
we getting
se-
into governing county stuff here?
We're not.
yeah, this is just to get us through this situation. I think it's a good,
The county made a recommendation, we should be following it. It's that simple.
I'm just
Oh,
gonna
there's a
go to
motion.
Stephen. Stephen, but I know we have a motion on the table right now, so I will call for a second in a minute. But Stephen, you want to say something before I call for the second, or you want me to call for the second?
I just want to say something before you call for the second, because I'm in agreement with Matt on the accounting difficulties. As crossing fiscal years, we generally reallocate the gain from the fiscal year to various programs, reserves, and this is going to attach to that. I would recommend revising the motion to, if you're really trying to tie it to in good standing, have it tied to next year's end of season payment if you really want to tie it to their performances next season.
So I'm gonna call for a second. If nobody seconds it, then we'll call for a new motion. Got it? Because if nobody seconds it, it dies and a new one comes. Just so everybody's clear on how that works, okay? So Jeff Halpin, Washington County has made a motion that the club be immediately reinstated back into good standing, that 10% of their final grooming payment be held, that they update their management plan to include, he said 70% of the county meetings, and they would be reimbursed their 10% back at the completion of the season, if they've attended that percentage of meetings. I need a second. I'm gonna call again. I'm gonna do it 3 times, just a second. Anybody for a second on that motion? All right, last time. Anybody for a second? That motion dies. If anybody would like to make a new motion, or open to that. Nobody wants to make a motion?
guess, Patty, what I could make a change if anybody would like to hear it out
Well,
was maybe
let's see.
get away
Let's
from the
see.
money side of it.
Anybody else good on that, or do you want Jeff to go ahead, or does anybody else? I'd like to give somebody else a chance first, Jeff, since you had first bat at it, to see if anybody else wants to do it. I mean, they heard your motion like 3 times, so. And directors, where are you?
I'll make one if nobody else wants to.
There's Orleans County, Roger, go ahead.
I move that the vast board of directors acknowledge that the Danville Club has completed the initial required corrective actions related to the missed April 30th, 2026 grooming financial analysis deadline, including completion of the required grooming financial analysis, submission of the required documentation, and submission of a corrective management plan. Based on the review of the information provided by the club, the Caledonia County Director, and VAST, I move that the board approve the following. 1, reinstate the Danville Club from not in good standing status to probationary good standing status effective immediately. 2, approve withholding 25% of the club's final grooming payment for a total of $2,681.78 as a penalty for failure to meet the required deadline, with a remaining balance of $8,045.33 to be released and paid to the club by VAST. Required the club to update its management plan to include compliance with all VAST requirements, policies, deadlines, and current Caledonia County bylaws and policies, including active participation and engagement at county meetings. The updated management plan must be submitted to the Caledonia County Director and VAST no later than July 20th, 2026. 4, continue the club's probationary status through the completion of the upcoming riding season and the April 30th, 2027 annual compliance deadline. Upon successful completion of all county and VAST requirements during this period, the club shall be restored to full good standing status. Failure to meet the requirements outlined during the probationary period may result in additional review and action by the VAST Board of Directors. End of motion.
Orange will second.
Wow.
Did you get that? That was Orange, Ruth. Any discussion on that motion?
Nope, but Roger, email it to Ruth.
She has it actually, I
Okay.
think,
How long is the probationary period?
until the end of the, I'm sorry, I don't know who asked that question,
Until,
but April 30th, 2027. This is soon.
Are we
it's-
able to get trail project grants?
Mhm.
Under probation?
Probationary, yeah.
well, yeah,
If-
it's my
yeah.
understanding you guys missed did you guys make the construction
We did
seminar?
it this year. We did it this year,
When-
yes.
Okay.
We need 2 bridges, we have 2 reroutes, we have a lot of work to do, and this is very hard for us at this point, you know?
So
Right, not
I'm
in
gonna-
good standing would prevent that. Probationary is just to make sure that you meet the deadlines coming into the upcoming season as Roger has outlined.
I'm gonna make this comment and reiterate it again. You need to be in good standing with your county and you need to reestablish that relationship with your fellow clubs.
We
They
got
are
it. We
the,
hear you.
they are the,
I'm very, the fact that there's no notes
I'm
on
speaking,
discussion.
I'm speaking. They are gonna be what supports you moving forward. You need to solidify your relationship with your county clubs. And I'm doing this not because I want to, but because I trust the county director who I sit next to at the table month after month after month. And so please consider that as part of your, one of your objectives to get in good standing with the county. That's all.
Are there any questions on the motion at hand? I'm going to call for a vote. All those in favor of the motion as outlined by Roger, if you need me to repeat it, I will.
Aye.
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 Roger, let me just do that. Roger made the motion. Orange seconded it. All in favor said aye. We got that. Anybody opposed?
Washington County.
Opposed to it. Franklin.
Washington and Franklin. Okay. Are there any abstentions? Motion carries. So we will send the club the actual motion as well, so you have it for your record, so you know what to expect. Okay.
Yep.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you. You're welcome to stay if you'd like to stay. We're gonna move on now. All right, so now we're gonna go back to unfinished business and so Ivor, you're up first. Deerfield Valley, what's going on with that bridge removal and replacement?
So on June 11th, we had a meeting down there at 11 o'clock in the morning, for the Greens, bridge replacement. In attendance was Steve Topper, Deerfield Valley president, Matt Nicholas, the Deerfield, Trails person, Lenny Howe, Deerfield groomer operator, Josh, not sure what his last name was, from the State of Vermont Rivers program, Marshall, the landowner, and myself, for Wyndham County. So Marshall, the landowner, wants the entire bridge and concrete abutments removed, wants the abutments replaced with large stones, and they get set back a little further from what the concrete is now per requirement from Josh, the State Rivers guy. And they'll be replacing the steel beams with wooden telephone poles and then pressure treated decking over that. Marshall, the landowner, did sign the landowner agreement and bridge form. So all that stuff is signed and
Excellent.
all good.
That's good news. That's
Yep.
good news.
And
That's
they've
really
got-
good news.
And they've got a timeline plan of when Josh from the state and Marshall, the landowner, want them to do everything, and it's in motion.
And it should be done before the start of the season, everything out of there and the new one done? Is that
Yes,
timeline?
correct.
Okay.
Yep, and they can't start getting anywhere near the river until a certain date, and they've got to be done by a certain date also. But they're hoping as soon as they start it to finish it pretty quickly. Within a week, they'll deconstruct what's there and reconstruct what Marshall wants put back in.
And Ruth in notes, Mike Stewart put in the name, Joshua's last name, in the comments.
Thanks.
All right, that sounds really good, Ivor. Mark?
Matt, will the telephone pole meet our standards? We haven't done telephone poles, bridges in a long time. That's my concern. We replace these type of bridges with steel beamed bridges. We don't go, and I get the landowner, this is what the landowner wants. Is it going to meet our standards for a bridge to carry a groomer across? Because speaking from an insurance liability perspective, that's important to know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think you'll ever get an engineer to approve a pole bridge.
Mark, they're adding an additional pole beyond what was there originally, and it's spanning the same span that they had before.
I think the real question is if they want to be like environmentally forward, would be that you don't want creosote and stuff that comes out of those poles. You don't want, steel is so much cleaner, and I mean it's obviously heavier and better. But if we need to talk to them, Ivor, and you need that kind of support regarding why steel would be better and cleaner for the environment, that might help them in that decision. I'm happy to.
The poles will be the cedar ones that came off from the Velco transmission line, so they don't have creosote.
All right.
You may just want to know on the landowner permission form, landowner specifically requested phone poles or whatever.
Yeah.
Versus the standard.
I think that makes sense. I just wanted to bring that up because we don't want to get into the habit of lowering engineering standards.
No, there's quite a lot of discussion of keeping the concrete abutments and keeping the steel piers and redecking it with wood, and that was a no sell.
So Stan and then Roger.
Yeah, as far as the poles go, we have a landowner who has 5 bridges on their property, and it's part of an association, and you really can't convince them otherwise. They will accept nothing but poles. They will not allow us to use steel beams. They won't even let us use concrete. It has to be on stones and telephone poles. They're pressure treated telephone poles. They're not the old creosote ones. They're the new green ones. And the decking is pressure treated. That they just changed that one. Up until this year, they required that it only be hemlock or natural wood, but they will only accept it. And they got 5 bridges, and we have no choice. We either do it the way they want it, or we don't go.
I would just make a note of it, that's all. Roger?
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing, Stan.
Just a quick comment. We need to be careful pigeonholing ourselves against using telephone poles, because the snowmobile trails have been built on telephone poles, and sometimes they're easier to drag in, they're easier to spike lumber to. So just let's be careful about making every bridge a steel bridge. That's all.
Well, I just want to make sure that it's strong enough to carry a groomer. And I've seen, like you, I've seen many telephone pole bridges. I understand that, and I just wanted to get that out there, and I think it's a good idea to note that in the agreement.
And then
What's the span on that bridge, Ivor? Is it 30 feet?
Believe it's 30 feet.
Okay.
And I believe some of the cedar poles that came out are going right back in from the original bridge deconstruction.
Plus
That
additional.
supported the bridge originally.
Plus an additional one you said, Ivor.
Yeah, they had 4 under it originally, and it's gonna have 5 now.
Okay. Any other questions for Ivor? I appreciate you doing right by that landowner.
Yes.
And that's
And
good news.
And this was 5 Thursdays postponed. The meeting was scheduled for a Thursday, and the landowner continually postponed it until we finally got it nailed down.
So I'm assuming since they signed the landowner, and if everything's done in the timeline that they've agreed to, that trail will be open this season?
It will be, yeah.
That's really good
And
news.
they understand, Marshall, the landowner understands the impact to the community and understands the
Excellent.
importance of the trail.
Well, that's good news to the people that ride in that area. That's for darn sure.
Yeah.
Nice work. Thank you.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Cindy, you're up now regarding the pilots, the final scoring survey, summer meeting, and pricing comparison
Yeah,
updates.
this is really quick. So we are sending out an email to all the affected clubs, which I mean the pilot clubs, that we are going to hold a meeting on July 9th on Zoom at 5 p.m. And just to make sure that we're all hearing each other, that they're hearing from Matt and his experience on the back end. We waited a little bit because Matt went to Congress a week or so ago and met with each of the GPS providers and asked questions that he had specifically for them. So we are on point to have that meeting. And then the other thing that Matt and Patty and I have talked about is also having a discussion just statewide after this meeting about their experiences with GPS and what they're comfortable with. So we're on the right track. We're hoping we're going to have a system by the fall to move into, next year. So we're not waiting that much longer, but it's July 9th at 5 p.m. on Zoom. And if you haven't gotten the email yet, you will. And that's when the meeting for the affected clubs, not everybody. And once those clubs meet, the affected club, the clubs in the pilot, the 6 clubs in the pilot. After that, then we'll send out a brief survey to all clubs around the state and just with some questions that might be derived from that meeting.
Okay. And the scoring you'll share at that meeting?
Yeah, it's 5 o'clock, Roger. And the scoring will, yes. Yeah. I mean, I already have the scoring. I already have all that, and we've got some costs. And so I'll be sharing that with the clubs that were in the pilot as well. So they kind of know ahead of time what we're going to be talking about. And there were some really good results. But we also just want to bring in all the other clubs around the state to say, is there anything that we're not thinking about that you are, and things like that. So we can all kind of be on the same page. But yes.
I thought that would come after the meeting with the 6 clubs from the pilot, because there are going to be things that you folks raise in that meeting that maybe somebody else didn't think about, and maybe the general public, if you will, we would want their feedback on. So
yeah,
okay.
and it'll be a brief survey to them, but yeah, we want to wait until we have this meeting on July 9th to make sure that we're not leaving anything out.
All right, that's good news. Okay, I'm happy about that. All right, financial review, the investment company, we're still in progress of pulling things together on that, right, Cindy and Stephen?
Yes, that's correct. The allocations have been talked with Cindy and Sheila, and they're going to get back with the investment company, which is, to remind everybody, the trust company of Vermont.
And then at some point, before we pull the trigger on anything, it'll be brought back to the board.
Correct.
Okay, just making sure we're staying on track with that too. All right. All right, under new business, Roger, you want to update everybody what's going on with the annual meeting? Woohoo!
Sure. We are planning on the 28th of August. Sorry about that. It's my phone going off. 28th of August, sorry, the 29th of August on Saturday. It's going to be in Derby on the barn at the top of the hill. It's a large wedding barn, and it's going to be a little bit different than in the years past, just because it's not a big wide open field. So we're going to have to be strategic about where we're placing vendors and having everything happen. I'm hoping that, well, I'm planning on meeting Cindy and Patty up there in a couple of weeks.
Next week.
Next week. Yes, next week. So I'm excited. It's going to be a good venue. just a couple of notes on this and you can pass them along. I'll put I'll put the county email in the chat so you guys can either text me or contact me through there. We're looking for vendors. We haven't put a call for vendors out yet, but it's going to be $250 for a table or $500 for a groomer and drag setup. If clubs want to do a table, that'll be free. There's no charge to clubs. Lunch is going to be full barbecue lunch. So, barbecue meats and coleslaw and all the fixings. We're going to put out tickets for that soon. Hopefully, I'm going to work with the Vast office to get the website set up. It'll be $20 a person in advanced or $25 at the door, and that's just to encourage people to buy advanced. It's going to be much easier for us to have a head count to take money in advance. And then after the meeting schedule is going to be the same thing that you guys are all used to. After that, we're planning on having a county fundraiser. So we're going to be raffling off a hybrid snowmobile trailer and having a pizza truck there, as well as the bar will be open for people to hang out and talk snowmobiling. So we're hoping some of the vendors will hang out during the beginning of that, but there'll be a small break to clearly delineate between the two events. So the county fundraiser is not anything to do with the Vast annual meeting. It's just we have that very large barn reserved for the entire day, so we might as well capitalize on it. And we'll take the funds that we make from the fundraiser and put it towards any extra expenses for the annual meeting, and also put some money in our coffers. We pay for snowmobile safety course lunches and stuff like that. So, and county map signs and other things. So that'll be out as well too. So there'll be kind of like you'll see the annual meeting advertised, and then you'll see the county fundraiser advertised. Those are probably, don't hold me to this yet, but those are probably going to be $100 for a couple. That'll get you into the raffle and include food, and then you'll have to purchase drinks at the bar. Any questions?
What Roger just highlighted is in the committee reports, his little summary as well. So what he just shared here, you have in your board packet. Maybe not the cost of what the vendors' boxes are, spots are, but the high level, the lunch and the dinner and stuff like that.
I'll tell you that where they're holding the event is absolutely beautiful. I mean, they call it the top of the world for a reason, because you really get the spectacular view. I went up and met with Roger there, what was that, like a few months ago, and looked at the venue, but we're going back up to just look at the space and make sure that, because it is kind of tight, but it is a beautiful venue. And I hope you guys travel. For all of you in the South, I hope you travel up, because it'll be worth it.
My daughter goes, "You're going there? I went to a wedding there." So
yeah, I know other people that have gone to weddings there. Yeah, they say it's spectacular. I've been there. Roger and I went up there in what was it, like 4 months ago or something, and
You'll get a great view of majestic Lake Memphremagog, where we used to have a snowmobile trail cross.
Yeah, but you see like Canada, literally like over to New Hampshire. It's a really pretty view, and it's a really great location. And I think honestly, to have a county fundraiser afterwards, really smart.
That is a smart idea.
Yeah, really smart.
If you're planning on getting a hotel or anything, just give me a call or shoot me a message so I can point you in the right direction. That's all I'll say about that.
Okay. Well, I've already got Patty and Frank. Patty and Frank are booked in at the Derby Line Inn.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. And when I talked to them last week, there was one room left. Otherwise, I would stay at J Peak. I don't know what Roger has for ideas, but.
Well, I'm not going to give specific business recommendations on a recorded meeting, but I'm happy to chat.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, I guess if we have good weather, there won't be any space issues. If it pours, then we're definitely going to be cramming each other in, but we'll be optimistic.
We'll make it work. Jen about that. Poor Jen had the pouring rain last year.
Yeah, we'll make it work. No worries.
So very exciting. So for for those folks to let your counties know that they're, tickets for lunch will be coming up soon. There's an after thing, and if they want to set up a table to sell any raffle tickets or anything, they need to get in touch with Roger just for the space there. Okay, so
And
for
also
your
too,
counties.
sorry, I didn't interrupt, but if
That's okay.
you have direct access to vendors, like for example, I don't ever talk to the pre-nauth salesman. Y'all know why, right? So if somebody talks to him a lot, just send him my way. We'll be reaching out to them, but I think, it just might be quicker to have him reach out to us as well too. So
Yeah,
happy to
recommendations are
accommodate
good.
him. Yep.
Yeah.
Any questions for Roger? All right. Always a good time. Thank you, Roger. All right, Cindy, I have your end of year update and where you are in the development of the 2027 proposed budget as the next
Sure.
item.
So I sent you guys the end of the year. It's early, it's still June. So I'm going to be updating again next month. So don't take it for gospel. But I think we're going to end at about 300,000 in the black. I'd originally thought it was going to be 500,000, but it was because the trails, the $5 and $15 per TMA, we've kind of moved how that impacts the budget. It actually goes directly into Matt's fund, and so it doesn't really show up there. So in actuality, we have a finance meeting tomorrow. Well, I have a meeting tomorrow with Stephen, Sheila, and our auditor, Tyler, to talk about VAST reports, because we've kind of changed how we're not moving things. Like, things are still there, but I want you guys to get relevant reports. I think we all want you to have relevant reports that you can understand. And so our team is meeting tomorrow afternoon. But anyway, so that's kind of a shot that I think we're going to end at about 300,000 in the black. I will be sending you more definitive information about recommendations and things like that, about where that should go into reserves, how we can budget in the future to use the money that we have in reserves to help supplement some things that the SSTP is lacking, because we have less to spend because we still get the same amount from the state than before in SSTP to go towards like equipment grants and things like that and plowed parking lots. So I do have some recommendations that are at the bottom of that, but take it all with a grain of salt at this point. You're not asked to be voting on it right now. You're kind of getting a snapshot of my opinion of how we're gonna, how we can move some things. And why I say that is because if we're 300,000 in the black, I'm talking to Steven about like, well, we should move it all into reserves. And then we take so much out each year to supplement club equipment and fuel and all these other things. And he's like, well, why don't we just not even put it in reserves and just do it this way? And so we're figuring that all out, but just so you know that we're thinking about all this stuff. And so you did get a copy of it. It's nothing to vote on tonight. As far as the budget goes, just so you know, you will be voting on that in July. I hope to have the budget to you in the next week or so you have some time to look at it. But right now, we're just looking at really getting the reports done and everything working in the right direction. It's not that it's not working in the right direction. It's just that I just look at this packet that's this thick, and I'm like, how can we bring it down a step? Are we being, over excessive in how much we're reporting out, and how much is everybody understanding? So that's kind of what our meeting about is tomorrow. And so anyway, we're in a good spot. We had a really great season, but we can't rest on our laurels because we know that floods can happen anytime, and windstorms and stuff like that too. Tornadoes, just the cost of fuel, all that stuff. So we are thinking about that, but it was in there, and I just wanted you to know that it's not like anything you need to vote on tonight or study. It's just we are working on it.
Any questions for Cindy or Stephen on that?
Yeah, or Stephen, any comments or anything, or, feel free. I don't need to monopolize the conversation.
Okay.
All right, he's
All
good.
right, so look forward to receiving that email from Cindy soon with the proposed budget, so you have time to look it over and ask any questions before you vote on it at the July meeting. Okay. Mark, you're up next.
All right. So recently, the bylaws committee was asked about the possibility of an officer being a director as well. And Patty and I and Cindy, we all said, "Oh, no, you can't do that." But we didn't find that actually written down. And we felt it was overlooked because really, if those of you who were here a few years ago when the bylaws were changed to make sure that officers didn't have a vote, we really felt that that was the intent. So the bylaws committee met and we came up, the language is in your packet and I'll read it here. It would go in section 8, separation of board governance and executive leadership roles would be the new section. No individual serving as a director or alternate director shall concurrently serve as an officer of the association. Officers shall serve as members of the executive committee as otherwise provided in these bylaws, but shall not possess board voting authority by virtue of their officer position. No individual shall hold more than one governance position within the association at the same time unless expressly authorized by these bylaws. The board may approve a temporary exception to this provision by a 2/3 vote when necessary to fill a vacancy or maintain operational continuity, provided such exception does not exceed 30 days. Such exception may be extended by a 2/3 vote of the board. So the intent of this was to lay out really to further define what the intent of the removal of voting rights from the officers were several years ago, and also not to tie the hands of the board either, because there may be emergency situations where an officer may need to fill in for a board member, but we wanted to make sure that the board would be aware of those and would have to take specific actions to sort of override this, and then only for a short time. So that's basically it. Once you approve it, it will go to the membership for approval. If you approve it, it'll go to the membership for approval at the annual meeting.
And this is historically something that has been practiced for years. That's why we were shocked, like, where is it in writing?
Right.
And I think having the 30-day language for instances like when Tim Mills unexpectedly passed and somebody was a director, if there wasn't a quick replacement, there might have been a 30-day overlap as an example for that person to step into place, or they'd find somebody for their other position too, as an example. We all know that's happened. And I will say to you, our executive committee we're very involved. I hold meetings all the time, and we are very active in collaborating and strategizing and stuff like that, even before we come to the board. And sometimes we have special meetings for specific topics that maybe can't wait to our executive committee standard date meeting. So I just think it's important I think historically it's been that way, and I think it's important to continue and just I believe it needs to be documented.
Well, I think, it was considered a best practice and we just assumed it was, but when we started looking, it wasn't written down. And if we really believe it's a best practice, having it as part of our bylaws would make sense.
I agree. When I started, it was just a given that that's what it was. So we just always assumed that was the rule, that you couldn't be. And I think that now that we have executive committee meetings every month, and that's hugely important to me. And there is a separation. There's not it allows everyone to focus on what they're running for and what they're focusing on, and not having to do double duty. They're already doing double duty with your own clubs in your own county. And so I agree, that it's something we always thought was in place. Like when Tim passed away, I mean, just because that's recent for me, when he passed away and Tim, and Jeff became president, or even when Jeff became vice president, not to pull Jeff out of this, but he had to give up policy and bylaws and trails committee chair, and because we all thought that that's what you had to do. And, but it was never actually in policy. I think it's important, and it also takes the responsibility of those officers for standing up for their county. They're there for VAST, and it gives them the ability to focus on the organization, where the directors have the really fine line of dividing being there for the county and being there for VAST. The officers can really just focus on VAST. And so as executive director, I agree that it's just a great step to take. And we all thought it was already done because we've already followed it that way. So
Across the day, I'm like, I can't find it. She goes, it's in there. It's in there. And then Mark, no, it's in there. No, it's not there. So here we are. Clean up and just put it in. The language is also on the agenda. So under item number 4, the exact language that Mark just read. So if there's no questions, I'll look for a motion as the bylaw is presented. So you don't have to repeat the whole thing. Unless you want to make changes to it, you would say as presented with the change of blah, whatever that may be. So anybody? Either
Windsor County
questions?
make a motion to approve the bylaw change as presented.
Windsor,
Rutland County will second.
Rutland? Any questions? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed, nay? Anybody abstaining? All right, that passed. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mark. And the
Thank
committee.
you.
All right, we still not done with our voting. Next is up the Trails Committee. There are 4 different, this is a result of their May special meeting for contract requests. If you look at Matt's report, it is the special May meeting, and he has a breakdown of each of the 5, did I say 4? 5 requests for each one. And we talked about this as executive team. We're going to take them one at a time just to make sure there's no questions on each one of them. And then I'll look for a motion to accept as presented or with edits, however you want to do it. So I'm assuming Mr. Holt showed his face, so I'm assuming you're going to lead. John?
Yeah, I can. First up is the Alberg Snow Springers to upgrade their contract from a class 2 to class 1. And hold on here. The total cost of VAST on this will be I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time. Is it $1,956?
Like the typos there, Matt.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay.
So 1956.50, and they are upgrading to an 8-foot drag.
Yeah.
That the club is paying for, if I got that correct, yeah.
Yep.
That's
and
why they're in the
the
class.
Trails Committee approved that. Do you want to do one at a time, or we
Yeah,
going?
John, just go quick. So any questions for John on that one?
The Buckaroos of 302.
Nope, we're just gonna vote on it. I need the motion as John presented, that's outlined in Matt's report. To accept the Albrook Snow Springers increase for 1956.50 from a class 2 to a class 1 groomer.
Lamoille will make that motion.
Lamoille, second.
Orlean seconds.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Aye.
Nay? Did I get an opposed? It might have been a late yay. All right, next one. Go ahead, John.
The Buckaroos of 302, a new trail, 3 to 4 miles of new trail in West Groton for a cost of $5,000, adding 4 miles to the existing 55-mile class 1 contract. Whoops, hold on. Sorry. Total cost of VAST and grooming is $2,592, and the construction would be $5,000. there's a possibility of adding the mileage to the contract, but leaving the dollar amounts the same and having the new trail groomed within the confines of the existing contract. And that was also approved by the trails.
Julianne, is that your line? It sounds like you're unmuted, but you're breaking up.
I was having a coughing fit. I'm sorry. I thought.
Okay. All right, Doug?
I just had a question for you, John. When you say the cost to Vast, is that like you just said it was like I think it was 5,000 something for that one and like 2,900 for the other one? Is that the total cost if they groomed 100% of their contract for the whole season?
I believe that is, yes.
Okay.
5,000 is construction. Separate.
5,000
Yeah,
is
yeah,
a-
not the construction. Yeah, not the
Right.
construction. Just the total cost to Vast on the trail on the grooming part. Is that
Right.
how what that means?
Right.
So that's the most it would cost then for grooming, probably.
Right.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Dan?
Yeah, so my question is how would that be able to be groomed or added to the contract? If you're adding miles to the grooming contract, how would that part of it confuses me?
I don't understand the question.
So
You're adding miles to the grooming contract and the
yeah,
total
so
cost of the cap.
his last statement said that there may be no additional miles added.
Oh,
And the grooming contract would be done within the confines or the current.
I'm assuming they don't reach their cap, and that why it might be already absorbed in their current cap. Is that true, Matt?
Correct. That's one of my
Okay.
issues with some of this is we keep bumping these up every year. We don't have the money to afford what we have, and yet we keep bumping them up, and these clubs are hitting their contract. We could add, if they have a 50-mile contract, you add 5, we can say, yep, they have a 55-mile one way, but we don't change the dollar amounts any, and they could still groom it. But hypothetically, so we don't bump the numbers, but I don't know, what the wishes are of, the Trails Committee voted it through without saying anything, that the numbers should not be changed. They voted it through with changing the numbers as I have them shown in my reports. So it'd be up to the board if they want to do something different, but against what the Trails Committee recommended. But
All right, because seems to me it would have to change a grooming contract. If they had 50 miles, the grooming contract would go to 55. They may not groom to the max of the grooming contract, but their contract would be bigger, and the startup payment would be a little bit larger.
Jeff Halpin?
Yeah.
Oh, did you have a question? Was there a question at the end of that,
that's
Stan, or that
correct.
was
And
just a
they
statement?
to be specific,
Yeah.
No,
without
just a
changing
statement.
that.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Could do that, but
This
it's
is,
up to, like I said,
It's in our county. I don't want to be I just wanted to bring something up that, we were kind of for a little while there, we were saying no new trails. And we've recently had another, a year or two back, we had another trail that was a high country riding, which is the same story with this one. And obviously that's what we're looking for more of. But the cost of, building the trail to the previous one was declined, and they did the cost on their own as a club and donations. And then we added the grooming. So we added the grooming and the mileage to it. So kind of already set up a little bit of a precedence there with the previous one on the Northfield Mountain. So I just wanted to know where, we stand on, if we do that for one club, are we, should we keep that the same as the other clubs? Obviously it's going to be a great trail. Everybody's looking forward to it. But the cost, like Matt's saying, the cost and the increase on the total contract is, never mind the extra 5,000 for the construction, is something we need to take into consideration.
All right, so thanks, Jeff. I guess so. You have the Buckaroos of 302 there. If you want to approve the additional mileage, and if you want to include the 5,000 to be added to their contract, or if you want it to be absorbed, should be how the motion should be based on what is written here. So, directors.
Lamoille's gonna make a motion that
Thank you,
we
Lamoille.
follow the Trails Committee recommendation, which
Okay,
is the added grooming and the $5,000 construction cost.
It's as it is in Matt's summary.
Yes.
Okay, Lamoille did the motion as presented by the Trails Committee in Matt's report. We need a second.
Orleans will second.
Any other discussion on that? I know a bunch of people, Halpin, do you take your hand down? Because you already made a comment there? Yeah, there we go. Is there more discussion on this one? Or are we ready to vote on it?
I just have a comment.
Go ahead.
I don't think I would ever vote against establishing new trails, especially if the club's gonna make them, and grooming new trails and upgrading trails. I think that goes against our mission. But just keep in mind, we're dealing with the same pot of money year after year. Sometimes it gets less. So when we have those hard discussions about dealing with subsidy payments and withholding some money from lower clubs that groom less, just remember these conversations. That's all.
Okay.
That's kind of
Shannon?
that's kind of what I was trying to say too. You know, just to throw it out there that, you know, if we keep doing this, then we're kind of getting away from our money's not getting any deeper.
Dan?
Yeah,
Thank you, Roger.
so as far as the $5,000, wouldn't that be within construction policy? So they
Yep.
would submit a construction
Mhm.
grant application and Matt would fund it to whatever level he
They
can.
still have to take the training and all the requirements that are associated with the
Yeah.
guidelines of getting that grant money, correct?
But that 5,000 would not be a guaranteed amount. It would be whatever portion Matt can fund.
Is
We're
that
not telling Matt
correct,
he has to fund it at 5,000.
Yes, he's saying yes. He's giving
Okay.
the nod.
Yep, that's it. Because it just okay. We'll let Matt
That's a
do
way
it.
of the club letting them know they're gonna come in and ask for 5K, but whatever Matt is able to allocate that year is what Matt can allocate that year.
Yep.
Based on grants.
Mhm.
All right, so I have a motion and I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, that carries. We're on number 3. John.
Chester Stoneville Club, they want to upgrade their Firehouse Trail 3.7 miles from a secondary to a class 1. They want to upgrade Stonehearth Trail 1.5 miles from secondary to a 1. No cost with either upgrade. I guess they need to add 5.2 miles to the existing 59-mile class 1 grooming contract. So the total cost to Vast in grooming would be $2,832.
Yeah. And one is services, gas, food, lodging, and the other one is fire elevation.
Yeah.
I believe is what it, and then, so then Matt does have the statement there, though, since Chester doesn't groom to their cap, there's a possibility to be absorbed there, but that wasn't the recommendation of the Trails Committee, so that's just a thought, again, goes back to the exact one I said earlier. This doesn't have construction, so if you want to approve both with the total cost of $2,832 to be added to their contract or absorbed by their contractors, so as the Trails Committee recommended, or with the caveat that Matt has established. Either way, I need a motion.
Lamoille will make the motion to follow the Trails Committee recommendation.
Orleans
Second.
with the second.
Arlene. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, number 4, John.
The Snow Blasters would like to construct 2.6 miles of new trail to a parking area off Jackson Road. The cost is unknown at this time. Add 2.6 miles to the existing 63-mile class 1 contract. Total cost in grooming, the additional cost would be $1,905. Construction is unknown, but it's my club and the construction will be very minimal. We may ask for a couple of culverts, but we already have excavation donated. And the same comment as before from Matt, that there's a possibility of adding the mileage to the contract, but leaving the dollar amounts the same. But we do groom to our contract most years.
So I'm assuming, Matt, just for clarification for myself, this one and just like the other one, if the trail is not put in place, then obviously we don't add it until the trail's put in place. Correct? Okay. Just making sure for myself. Okay. And not all of these have construction, but some of them do. So just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is a high elevation parking lot at 1,700 feet. So,
okay. So we're
Where's
looking
the
at the
parking lot?
1905-12 as Trails Committee or with the caveat? There you are. I hear you. Where are you, Dustin?
Lamoille will make the motion to follow the Trails Committee recommendation.
Rutland County will second.
Oh,
Oh,
beat you
you
there,
beat me to
Roger.
it.
He was waiting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, that carries. And one more there, John.
the snow
Where's the, hold on, I had a question on the last one. Not that it was going to
Sure.
change my vote, but where is the parking area?
off Jackson Road.
Where?
1.5 miles in.
Okay.
Let's see. Snowbees of Berry. They want to construct 1.8 miles of new trail to create a loop near Butterfield and Groton State Forest. They will so add 1.8 miles to the existing 50-mile Class 1 contract. The extra cost of grooming would be $1,073. The construction, just they haven't gotten any final numbers or anything, is $50,000 to create this. And this project is 2 to 3 years out, but it is high elevation trail that would create a large loop.
So I'm just going to say something here. Ultimately, the construction costs are up to Matt, and all of that is in Matt's hands. So Lamoille is going to make a motion to follow the Trails Committee recommendation on this extra trail.
1.8 miles, 1,073.09. Lamoille.
Yes.
Second? Roger. There he
Second.
goes. Any other conversation on that one?
I just had a question, Patty. Doug from Windsor County. So he just said that it's 2 to 3 years out. So why are we voting on that now? Is that something we have to do? Because they're
Well,
not going to use it.
they have to build like 3 bridges and stuff like that before that's going to be ready. So they've got some work to do, and they didn't want to do the work without it knowing if it was going to be part of their contract
Oh, I
or
see.
not.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay.
Am I right with that,
Perfect.
John? Pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. All right. Thanks.
I have to
Rutland
take
County
to the
will
board.
second.
We already got it. We got a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And that was Lamoille and Orleans. Ruth is what I had on my list. Anybody opposed? All right. Wow. Okay, I warned you all this was going to be a long one. Okay. I just wanted, this is an FYI, this one. So I've been putting together based on why do I need to do grooming logs? Why do I need to do a grooming analysis? More of a why for administrative requirements for directors to have talking points with their clubs within their counties. The annual construction training, equipment and construction grants, and the app process. the annual club contact information. So I've put together my first draft. I've sent it to the executive committee and Matt and Mandy. So we'll all be working on that. If there's any other topics that I don't have listed on the agenda that we have captured already, just let us know and we can include them. Our plan is to have this for the upcoming season. So there's some time. So if there's any other requirements, again, that you always have to find yourself in a position of explaining why to your clubs at your county, let us know and we'll add that to this document to help you with explaining those requirements and why they're important. Okay? Okay. That was an easy one. All right, so we already went through Matt's report. Most of it was related to the Trails Committee. We also have Cindy's, and Cindy does talk about the pilot meeting in there as well. So under the GPS section. So if you didn't capture it, it's in her report. The details of that, and obviously the end of year budget and a bunch of other stuff that we're working on together. I've gotten her a little crazy. And Mandy's, just a couple of reminders she has in her report, and they are highlighted. The chainsaw safety course, just to remember that piece of it is open to August 15th. Okay, at 11:59 p.m. It is not technically required, though our insurance company prefers that folks take that. And all participants go into a drawing that, just like last year at the annual meeting. Anybody that has granted aid, construction grants or debrushing grants, they are due by the end of this month, June 30th. So if they could look at that as well. I've highlighted on the back of the agenda the upcoming due dates. We could just cover two of them, just so you can share that with your county clubs. I think that's it, right? Maintenance, debrushing, and chainsaw.
Hey.
And then the annual meeting is August 29th as a reminder.
With that.
There you go. So, this is also a really good document
What's
to
that?
share with your clubs,
Oh.
if you so choose.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, John Hall, you're not on mute, my friend.
Yeah, don't throw anybody at Vast under the bus because we can hear you.
All right.
Patty, I think you're doing an amazing job. I just have to say that as president, you are really sharing so much with the board, and it really supports us as staff and everyone else as volunteers, and such a strong team, and we just appreciate it.
Thank you. And it's really everybody coming together. And I know I might have snapped a little earlier, but we're all volunteers, right? And we have a very small group of staff people that's supporting 20,000 members, plus all of us. And I say us, all the leadership and volunteers within the association, which are a subset of that 20K. So, when you all work together, it does make a difference. And it's been a very productive 2 years. So, and I am running again, so you can vote for me again if you want. So I am going to follow the governing documents. So that is a caveat. So change them and I'll follow whatever you do new. Bruce, where's Bruce? Bruce, just as an FYI, the city does have Beth looking into the club contacts yearly annual form to try to streamline that. So they have some ideas and they're working on that. I know that came out of your county. This is a really good point. So that came out of Bruce's county. Instead of retyping those names, I know Doug Jacobs does it for Windsor County every year. It'll pre-populate and you can say, yeah, this is it, or just make your edits kind of thing. That's the concept Beth is working on right now. Some of the things, Windsor County brought forward this year. If you have ideas in your counties, bring them to us. Some things can be done, some things, can't be, but there are things like Bruce, I think you had 2 or 3 things in that email you sent. And this is a one that, realistically can be done, and it probably will save a few minutes of time on a volunteer. So thank you for bringing that forward, and we'll keep you posted on that. And the committee reports are all in there as well. So thank you to the committee chairs for sending that in. Our next meeting is scheduled for Monday, July 27th. It'll be our last meeting before the annual meeting. We will have a board meeting like we traditionally do after the annual meeting, so please do not leave. So besides, there's a club fundraiser going on at this beautiful place, so you may want to stick around anyway. But there is going to be a board meeting immediately following the regular annual meeting. So please be there and plan for that. And spread the love. Tell people to come on out. Anything else? Not always easy, guys. All right, I'm gonna look for a motion at 7:58.
County would like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
That was Washington County.
Washington.
At 7:58 is what I got there, Ruth. I need a second.
Wyndham County.
Wyndham. I got Wyndham. All right, that's it.
Good night,
Thank you for your
everybody.
patience. Thank you,
Bye,
everyone.
everybody.
Thank you
Thanks for all you
hanging in
do.
there.